I mean, the good Lord used fishermen, tent makers, tax collectors to do his work 2,000 years ago. And he takes, a plumber from Canada to do all of these Bishop Sheen books. He takes,
Yeah.
a doctor in his spare time just saying, I got this idea, I want to do books. So I always say to people, in this world of self-publishing, which is so easy now and very affordable, I mean, it just took my time. People always say, well, I know you have your 5 big books with Sophia Institute Press, which is a large Catholic publisher. But there's the 36 other smaller books that I self-published because I thought, just like Brad, I thought, man, we need a copy of this old book that's not published anymore. It's gone out of print. And you find it and you say, I'll dress it up a little bit. And away we go. Like the Holy Hour Prayer Book, I think I got a copy here. It's just, I just took this little book, and this is where I say, I took a little pamphlet and I transcribed it, and I made it into large print so that people could see, like people like large print books where they can read stuff. That was just an idea. And I found a picture of the monstrance on the altar in Peoria, and I asked permission, can I use this picture? And they said, sure, we'd love to get it. It's good for the Lord. It's good for business. It's good for everything. And so a beautiful cover, 5,000 copies later, like just on just Amazon self-publishing, just an idea of giving Sheen's little Holy Hour prayer book that he gave away in the 40s to republish it. And boy, what a blessing. But again, not a humble, but just, but I mean, as this plumber up in Canada going, that's a good idea.
So what is self-publishing? Like you mentioned Amazon. Like if someone out there is interested in kind of getting into this and saying, I want to self-publish, like, well, what does that mean for them? But then 2, how do they find those books and know which ones are good for self-publishing?
Right. Okay. So there's 20 self-publishing outfits that you can sign up for, in the sense that there's, Amazon KDP, which is self-publishing, which is the biggie. There's like Ingram Sparks, which distributes all over the world. And there's Lulu. You Google self-publishing and you'll find lots of these different aggregators and different companies that do that. So, but it's the idea of saying, okay, I want to republish this old work. Now, you do have to do some research. Like I had to research which books of Fulton Sheen, because that's my expertise, are public domain, that have, and which ones are still under license. And you can look that up at the Library Congress. There's the USA Library Congress. It's in Washington, D.C. You can go online and you can search the book title to see if it's got a copyright in force. And so that's kind of how it works. So you've got to do your homework. Just as Brad kind of researched and said, this classic, can I republish it? He'd probably do a little homework just to make sure he's not trampling any copyright laws. But there you go. But again, it's the desire. And then taking the scans and then putting it into a Word, Microsoft Word document. And then, if you want illustrations, you can do that. So you can be as fancy as you want or as simple as you want. But still, it's that idea to say, these works, they're lost. And we can find them again. And that's the joy. I remember Father Andrew Apostoli, God rest his soul, very famous Franciscan. We see him on EWTN. He said, don't let Fulton Sheen's voice go silent or his books get out of print. So make sure all of his 66 books are available today. And that's why I've done 41 of them. So,
Amazing.
to make sure that they're having there. But and don't worry about sales. It's not about sales. It's about souls. I have some titles that I've republished that have only sold 100 copies, but there's 100 people that have benefited now from that old book. So,
what was the first moment for you personally when you realized, wait, I could do this?
It was 2018, so I'm like
that's only 6 years ago.
I know, it was only 6 years ago, and like I'm 55 years old or whatever it was at the time, and I just always knew I could write and edit and stuff like that. I just had this idea. So I wrote to Sophia Institute Press and I said, I have this idea of a collection of Sheen's writings. What do you think? And they said, send us your first chapter. Like I had compiled it and stuff like that. And they came back a week later and say, I think this is winner, winner, chicken dinner. Let's do this. And so I just comb and edit and just kind of, put it in a nice, it's almost like a recipe, like baking a cake. You just kind of put the ingredients in and hope it turns out. And so, again, I'm the midlife crisis, call it, or whatever. I don't know. But, it's like, I always say, if you have these, like, go and work on some of your ideas. So it came late in my life, but you always just knew, it was the right idea, doing what's right. So that's all I did. So there you go. Cool. And for me, I had success with the large publisher. But then again, I thought, you know what? Publishing has changed over the years. It's very competitive. And now with AI, you can make books, with a few.
Mouse. Let the computer do the work for you.
Okay. And don't fall for all those, you'll get rich on the Amazon Kindle app or whatever it is. There's so many things. They want to sell you programs. They want to sell you this. They want to sell you that. So at the end of the day, just trust in the Lord and just say, if it's only for one, then you did it for one. If you always hear those stories that of a saint that would travel 1,000 miles to save one soul, or someone who would, work 10 years on a project to produce something just for one soul. So what's the price of a soul? What's it worth?